It's a story that's becoming more and more common. Maybe you work in one country, but your family, your roots are in another. You could be saving for a house right where you are, but you're also investing back home. Your life, your career, your money, it's all happening in two places at once. Today, we're going to pull that story apart and see how it works. Welcome to A Tale of Two Finances.
And to do that, we're going to look at this whole thing through the lens of just one single advertisement. Now, it's aimed at people from India who are living in the UK, but honestly, what it talks about is a huge challenge for pretty much anyone in our crazy, interconnected world. It's amazing how one simple image can capture such a massive financial reality.
And really, that brings us to the big question, right? It sounds pretty simple on the surface, but believe me, the answer is anything but. What really happens when your bank accounts, your investments, your entire financial future is split across international borders?
Okay, so let's get into the cross-border challenge. And look, this is so much more than just figuring out exchange rates or how much a wire transfer costs. We're talking about a really fundamental problem, trying to manage one financial life that has to follow two completely different sets of rules.
The ad itself gives us the perfect word for it, right there in the text: complex. And that's not just some fancy marketing word. That one word, complex, is the absolute heart of the problem we're digging into, and it's the whole reason this specialized field of finance even exists.
So let's just be super clear about what we're talking about. Cross-border financial planning, it's all about untangling that complexity. It's for anyone whose money, in a way, has more than one passport. You need a single strategy that actually works in both countries, playing by both sets of rules.
All right, so if the problem is complexity, what does that actually look like in the real world? Let's break it down. We're going to deconstruct it into 4 specific, very real hurdles that anyone trying to do this is going to have to face. Think of these as the 4 big chapters of the whole cross-border challenge. First up, tax and compliance. Then we've got investments and pensions. After that, wealth management. And finally, and this is a big one, getting the right local support. Let's tackle them one by one.
First up, the one that gives most people a massive headache: taxes. The key thing to get here is that you don't get to choose one country's tax system over the other. Nope, you're living under both at the same time. So you have to follow all the UK's rules for the money you earn there, and all of India's rules for, say, a property you're renting out back home. It's this constant juggling act to make sure you don't get hit with something awful like double taxation.
Next, let's talk about the future. How in the world are you supposed to plan for retirement when your pension is split between 2 different countries with totally different rules? An investment that looks like a genius move in the UK might have horrible tax consequences in India, or the other way around. It's just a maze of questions you have to find answers to.
And that brings us to hurdle number 3, actually managing your wealth. It's one thing to just keep your money safe. It's a completely different ballgame to actually make it grow. How do you build one single smart strategy for growth when your money is scattered across different currencies, different stock markets, and 2 totally separate economies? And the final hurdle is just a practical one. Let's be real. You can't be an expert in everything everywhere. Financial rules are super local. You need someone who really gets the system in London, and you also need someone who knows all the ins and outs of how things work in Mumbai or Delhi.
Okay, so we've laid out all the problems, those 4 major hurdles. So how do you solve this mess? Well, you don't try to climb over each hurdle one at a time. You build a bridge.
And that's the real goal here. The solution isn't about trying to manage 2 separate financial lives in your head. It's about connecting them so they work together as one. That's the whole point.
And that visual metaphor in the ad is so important. That arc they drew between the UK and India, that's not just a flight path on a map. It's meant to show you what this kind of advice does. It creates a single, smooth pathway between your 2 financial worlds.
So the solution is really designed to tackle those hurdles head-on. First, it ensures compliance, which takes care of the tax problem. Then, it creates efficiency, which helps you untangle that investment and pension mess. And finally, it promotes growth across all your wealth, your total global wealth, which solves that big wealth management problem.
So, why did we just spend all this time picking apart one single financial ad? Because what it's really showing us isn't just about planning between the UK and India. It's about the future of money for all of us.
What this really points to is a much bigger trend. More and more of us are working remotely, living in different countries, and have families and friends scattered all over the planet. Our lives are becoming borderless, and whether we're ready for it or not, our money is getting pulled right along for the ride.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. This specific example might not be your life today, but the trend it represents, it's speeding up. As our world keeps shrinking, what does the future of a truly global wallet actually look like for you?